We are getting some breaking news now on the broadcast, and this is about the dignitaries' arrival that continue to happen ahead of the summit in the national capital. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has currently arrived in the national capital. As you can see, the visuals on your screens, he is going to be received by one of the ministers of states, and that is going to be an important arrival as far as the G20 is concerned. Remember, Africa, along with certain other important countries, are trying to build consensus so that that joint communique really comes out. And that's why South Africa and Brazil's is a crucial, in fact, presence at G20. They are going to be helping the G20 Sherpas, in fact, to forge a consensus, especially on the Ukraine issue. And right there you see the South African President, Mr. Ramaphosa, being greeted by the various other dignitaries, and he is currently in the national capital. My colleague Siddhant is joining us on the broadcast with all the latest. Remember, he's been tracking all the developments from inside the venue, from the Bharat Mandapam, where the summit is going to be organized starting tomorrow. Siddhant, an important visit in President Ramaphosa of South Africa. His is a crucial presence considering the press conference that we have just seen. It is all about asking whether or not there is going to be a joint communication that is going to be released, considering there is no consensus yet on the Ukraine issue. Is that going to be something that is going to overshadow the G20 summit remains the big question, and that's where Ramaphosa's presence becomes important, Siddhant.
Well, absolutely. Cyril Ramaphosa shares a very good rapport with Prime Minister Modi, and perhaps I remember there was a lot of a speculative story done by some international organizations saying that Prime Minister Modi is not going to go to South Africa, Johannesburg, to attend BRICS summit. But on a very last moment, Prime Minister Modi decided to go to South Africa after Cyril Ramaphosa personally called him to insist to come to South Africa. Point number one. Point number two, that even if I take viewers back to the BRICS summit in South Africa in Johannesburg, there were a lot of moments, personal, candid moments between Cyril Ramaphosa and Prime Minister Modi, where they were discussing about Chandrayaan.
Okay.
Perhaps
yes.
Mr. Ramaphosa congratulating Prime Minister for the success of Chandrayaan. Then there was also, on a lighter note, I remember during BRICS summit, Prime Minister Ramaphosa said that we have a lot of cheetahs. We'll give cheetahs to you. And everybody laughed in that ballroom. So, you know, that kind of a rapport he has with Prime Minister Modi. Perhaps we have a good partnership with South Africa when it comes to energy. We have been importing coal from South Africa. We have a good amount of trade with South Africa, and we are partners with South Africa in BRICS and
yes.
in G20, and that perhaps makes the presence of Prime Minister Cyril Ramaphosa very, very special for India, especially with regard to the consensus building. Look, largely South Africa is on India's side when it comes to the issues of global South. South Africa is also very happy that perhaps has welcomed the decision of India to induct African Union or to include African Union in G20.
Yes.
So that makes that perhaps drags South Africa on the Indian side when it comes to build consensus, because there are common problems in both the countries, and even South Africa requires a lot of assistance when it comes to India in form of digital public infrastructure, in form of investments. When Prime Minister Modi went to South Africa to take part in BRICS summit, at that point, that time he was accompanied by a high-level business delegation, because there are a lot of Indian companies, those who have invested huge amount of money in the growth of South Africa. So, you know, that is how that has perhaps strengthened ties between the two countries. When we talk about the strategic importance of South Africa, so it's the location of South Africa is strategically important, plus the involvement of China in whole of the continent, African continent, especially in South Africa. The way they have been heavily investing, the way they are perhaps making infrastructure. So there is also a sense of dissatisfaction within South Africa with regard to China's debt trap policy of making and building infrastructure and then trap that country. So with that scenario, with that perspective in mind, South Africa feels that India is a reliable partner, and this is a reason that when there was a proposal to do BRICS expansion, there were other proposals as well. There were speculative stories that Prime Minister Modi is not going to go to South Africa, and in fact, there wasn't any announcement also that PM will be going. But he went to South Africa only because of that one phone call that Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, made to Prime Minister Modi. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.